How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman. Thanks for joining me for this particular broadcast. And the title of this broadcast is the following: The Hidden Risks of an Initial Cost-First Approach in Enterprise Architecture Training and Certification. Let me repeat the title: The Hidden Risks of an Initial Cost-First Approach in Enterprise Architecture Training and Certification. Now, we all understand this. In the quest to optimize budgets, many organizations focus heavily on minimizing upfront costs, especially when it comes to enterprise architecture training and certification decisions. However, also known as prioritizing initial costs above all else can be a very risky strategy, often leading to long-term inefficiencies, increased risk, diminished organizational credibility, and diminished personal credibility. Now, what's the problem with these short-term approaches? Procurement and training decisions are frequently measured by that direct initial purchase price or an immediate expenditure rather than by the overall impact on the business. This very narrow focus can obscure important considerations such as quality, reliability, overall lifetime costs, and long-term value. When organizations select training programs or certification exam approaches based primarily on initial costs, such as opting for a multiple choice exam or the cheapest training provider, they may inadvertently compromise the depth and effectiveness of their enterprise architecture competency. Now, what are some of the consequences of this? Choosing the least expensive initial option cost approach can result in some negative outcomes. Superficial knowledge. Candidates may pass the exam without understanding the material, leading to poor decision-making in real-world architecture projects. What is taught is how to pass the exam rather than how to actually develop an enterprise architecture. Increased risks. Inadequately trained architects can introduce vulnerabilities, inefficiencies, and costly mistakes into the enterprise business and into the enterprise systems. Higher long-term costs. The need for retraining, remediation, recertification based on, as we call it, certification versioning, version 1.0, version 10.0, version 10.1, etc., or project rework can quickly erase any initial savings. An erosion of trust. Stakeholders may lose confidence in these certification programs and the capabilities of these certified professionals, once again leading to enterprise inefficiencies and personal credibility and professional issues. So what we need to do is look beyond initial price, building a smarter approach. We need a more holistic approach. We need some metrics. Evaluate procurement and training decisions based on a broader set of criteria, including quality, reliability, support, long-term outcomes, and can this program actually lead the individual to develop an enterprise architecture? Metrics about developing an architecture, not about passing the exam. You need to look at robust certification programs. Involve multiple stakeholders, such as the business units. Can the organization's business people understand the architecture, as we call it, human consumable. Bring the procurement people in that look at long-term value, not just short-term costs. And, of course, the information technology folks, to ensure decisions align with the overall business value. And, of course, continue in improvement as you look at these programs. Regular review and refine metrics and processes to reflect the evolving needs and lessons learned from these short-term approaches. We concur wholeheartedly that initial savings and costs are important, but they cannot be the sole driver of enterprise architecture, training, and certification decisions. You need a balanced approach that considers quality, reliability, long-term value, and the actual development of implementable enterprise architectures that will help the organization build stronger and more resilient enterprise architecture capabilities and enterprise capabilities to avoid the hidden costs of the short-term thinking. A simple question to ask in any enterprise architecture, training, or certification is this: does the training and certification actually lead to an individual that can develop an actual enterprise architecture?
So you want to advance your career and see enterprise architecture as a key component to this advancement. Or you're an enterprise architect and you want to be more effective in addressing business and technology needs. You want to create highly effective solutions that deal with the ever-evolving changes in businesses and organizations. But accumulating the knowledge and certification to do that can be a challenge. That's why EACOE created a one-of-a-kind certification workshop for enterprise architects. The workshops will teach you proven step-by-step enterprise architecture techniques that you can use for addressing continuous business and organizational change, and give you the certification you need to progress in your career. Want to learn more? Then visit EACOE.org.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.